Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. So let's start with an easy question. Question with an easy answer. The question is, what is consciousness? I told you it was an easy one. Okay. I don't know if there is an easy answer to this. I doubt. But let's try to talk about it a little bit. Consciousness. Well, what we commonly understand, it's the formless energy, let's use this word, that permeates everything, all physical forms and non-physical as well. So if you guys were big Star Wars fans, like I was when I was young, I loved Star Wars series. I just loved it. And remember they used to say, may the force be with you. Yeah, the force. They were talking about it, the force. We could call consciousness as the force as well, if we want to be in line with Star Wars. So it's a force that permeates all universe. It is formless, but inhabits all forms. And all forms were born out of this force. So everything is born out of consciousness. So at a certain point, I don't know how and when, and again, we're talking about something that is like quite far away. But at a certain point, consciousness started to manifest into form. So planets were created, and stars were created, and black holes and white holes, and the whole universe came to be. So even though consciousness probably was always there, it's beyond time, so there was no beginning or end to consciousness, but maybe the world of form had a beginning, because every form is born and dies. So it has a life cycle, right? So at a certain point, out of consciousness, we have a physical universe manifested. In this physical universe, we have our little tiny Earth, which is less than a speck of dust in an infinite universe of billions of galaxies. Okay. And in this little speck of dust that is the Earth, life also was born in many forms. Yeah. So minerals first. It's the most basic. Plants, then a little more evolved animals, then a little more evolved humans. All these four forms, mineral, plants, animal, and humans, are all obviously inhabited by consciousness and created by consciousness, created in consciousness, because consciousness is all. It includes everything, form and formless. But these four dimensions on planet Earth, we could say that they differentiate themselves because each of them has a different level of consciousness, or let's say the consciousness is awakened at a different level. So even though in minerals, like a rock is also has consciousness. It cannot not have it. It comes out of consciousness. Of course, it's inhabited by consciousness. But as my master Osho used to say, it's a very slow dance. I loved it when he said that. So all these four levels, they all dance, they all have a dance of consciousness within themselves, which is moving and unfolding. Yeah. But a rock is a very, very slow dance. And he used to say, if you sit next to a rock and you commune with a rock, like you do that with a tree or an animal or a human, you will feel, you'll be able to feel, if you're sensitive enough, that there is a vibration of consciousness in the rock too, but it's very slow dance. So then the plants, a tree would have a little faster dance in itself. In the animals, consciousness is dancing even a little faster. And in humans, even more. We are the pinnacle of the evolution in this planet, yeah? We are the point where consciousness can it could flower to its full potential. That's what man is. It's the last stage. Yeah, that's why the Hindus say, well, once you reach the pinnacle, the full flowering, it might be your last life. You know, they say that you don't need to come back again in a body because you completed the course, her course in miracles, which is life on this planet. Yeah. But how does this consciousness, how is it perceived within this physical body, human body? What is it? Obviously, if it's a dance that happens within us, what is this consciousness and how do we perceive it? Or how could we describe it so that we can point our radar more in that direction? Especially when we enter into meditation or when we live our life. So all that has been created by consciousness, yeah, so minerals, plants, animals, humans, they all contain this consciousness. That's why we say, the mystics say, everything is connected, everything is one. Well, of course it's one, because it's all consciousness. Yeah. But this consciousness, it's expressed or manifested in different modalities. Yeah. So right now we divide it in 4 categories. We divided that. But still, they all are connected to the source, which is the force, or the source, we can also call it. So of course it's all connected. We're all coming out of that. And we're all gonna, every form will go back into that. Yeah. So everything is one, they say. Well, yeah, of course it is. How could it not be? So we all contain, and we are all part of, this universal source, of this universal consciousness. In humans, let's say in animals or in minerals or in plants, there is no consciousness or not an awareness that would divide them from that. They're naturally connected to everything. Yeah, an animal is natural. Why we say natural? It's spontaneous. A cat is a cat, and is naturally in tune with everything. Yeah, he's living in his cathood from beginning to end, perfectly happy in his being a cat. There is no question. There is no anxiety of like, who am I? A cat would say, if he could see into our mind and say, well, you guys are crazy. What do you mean, who are you? You're a cat or you are a human. But a cat would say, you're crazy. What kind of question? Silly question. I'm a cat. What else could I be? Yeah. So they're naturally, blissfully, in a way, ignorant that they are part, or that there is something that is bigger than what they are. But at the same time, they are completely connected with it. So they live a very natural, spontaneous, beautiful life. In humans, there is this possibility let's call it complete the last stage, the last course. And so that brings a lot of questions, wondering, exploring, longing, anxiety. There's a tension in us. The tension because suddenly we realize, not always consciously, but something in us feels that we are a bridge between the animal and the divine. And we are a becoming suddenly. Yeah, a cat is born a cat, will die a cat. It doesn't care about anything else. It's blissed out in his cathood. But a man is, there's something in man that knows, that feels, that perceives this potential that we have to move from animal to divine. So it's a longing, and it can also be some kind of almost an anxiety to feel, okay, there's something that I still haven't got, but I know it's there and I don't know how to get there. Yeah, we are a becoming. No other of the other beings, or the other three categories, even though they have an evolution. Yeah, a tree is first a seed and eventually is a big tree with flowers and fruits. It has its own evolution, but it's not an evolution that changes the quality of the consciousness in the tree, really. So we have this potential, and it's huge potential, to make this last jump, to become conscious of our divine nature, to embody it fully, to develop it, to let it flower fully, to reunite through that, or to realize that we're always being united with this force, that we are that force, embodying this form. Yeah. But we created a lot of confusion in this process, and maybe it's not confusion, maybe it's just what needs to be. And it's this perception that the human mind creates. From childhood onwards, we are being trained to slowly disidentify from this source, from this consciousness that we are, let's say this witnessing consciousness that we're born with, right? And children, very young babies, are still very connected to that. And then slowly, slowly, we start to identify with an egoic entity. Yeah. So suddenly you become little Maria, so you have a name, right? Suddenly you are either a girl or a boy. Then you are either Indian or Dutch or Africans or whatever. Yeah, you're divided. So the identity started to get formed. You're a good girl or a bad boy or whatever. You're good in school or you're really terrible. Your daddy loves you more than your mommy, or the other way around. Who knows, But 1,000,001 concepts that start sticking to this identity, which is not real, but is formed by society. It's the egoic self. So the child moves away from his perception of being a consciousness to be an egoic self. And the formless, the connection with the formless is lost very soon. That's why people like Rudolf Steiner, for example, they used to say, let children alone, leave them alone, at least until 7, the age of 7, because those 7 years are so important for them to still remain connected with the formless, to explore the world of magic, of fantasies, of fairies and elves, whatever it is, to just let them be in that world, because they need to absorb it before they lose it, That will give them a lot of more creativity than when they grow up. But what do we do when we're like, we send them to the preschool? Then when they're 5 or 6, I went to school when I was 5, because I was born in December. So at 5 already, okay, they start to teach you to read and to write, and a whole different thing starts. Yeah, you start developing a different part of your mind. Suddenly there are words, concepts you can read and you can write. So you enter in a different world. There's no more the world of magic and fairy tales and formless, but it's analytical, very based on form, very conceptual. Reality becomes conceptual suddenly, which is not. But we conceptualize everything. From 5 years old onwards, more and more and more and more and more. By the time we're 20, 21, we are inside a system that is, if you talk about formless, they go like, or spirit, they go like, what are you talking about? We're so far away from it. Yet, this consciousness is still there, and is tapping us on the shoulder and calling us. And we know, and we feel it. There is a longing to reconnect to that part. That's part of what meditation is about. So in our practice to connect, how do we connect? more easily? What is the way to connect more easily? The way is what we talked about 2 weeks ago. The way is to accustom yourself to rest in a sense of emptiness, like nothing is happening, or like you are nobody. Ooh, this is a scary one. Allow yourself to be nobody. Maybe for a few moments in your practice, or maybe more than a few moments, but train in that direction. Don't try to be somebody, even in your life. Be very careful. Because this somebody is an expression of the egoic self. There's nothing else. There's nothing to do with reality with a capital R. So allowing ourselves to be more and more simple and more a nobody help us to then not being afraid to move in that space where nothing is happening, for example, where there is spaciousness or where there is emptiness. Because a person that is full of himself or herself will freak out in front of that emptiness. It's like, whoa, no, I'm not going there. The ego will react and will freak out. Because the ego feels that I'm going to be annihilated if I dive into that. Well, it's true. There is no ego in emptiness. There is no space for ego. There is no mind. Emptiness, well, there is no objects. Really, that's what it is. So when we practice and we say, okay, become a witness, observe everything that arises within you, right? We say that. What are we saying? We're saying, observe everything that arises within consciousness. So consciousness is the container in which all experiences are perceived. That's all. Consciousness is the space in which, when we go inside of us, either the eyes are closed or open, doesn't matter. When you move inside, whatever you perceive is perceived within consciousness. So consciousness is the container in which everything is happening or perceived. And this is true both in a microcosm and in a microcosm. In the universe, we said the whole universe is existing in consciousness, right? Came out of consciousness, all the planet, all the stars. They exist in this vast universe, which is consciousness. And they came out of consciousness. The same with us in the micro as in the macro. All that we perceived, therefore all our emotions, thoughts, perception, sensory perception, the way we perceive forms, the way the eyes perceive forms or colors or light, everything that we call the reality, which let's call it the relative reality, is perceived within our consciousness. So consciousness is the container and all the experiences is the content, right? Or we could say consciousness is the witness in self, which is the subject, and all experiences are the objects. Yeah. Or we could say, often we say, all the experiences and whatever we perceive are clouds going through the sky. You know, they come, they manifest, they exist for a while, they travel across the sky, and then they disappear again. The sky is consciousness, and all the clouds are all the different experiences, everything that we perceive, everything that is happening inside. So in our practice, we can get easily identify with all the clouds. Oh, here is I like that, beautiful pink cloud. I'm going to jump on it and go for a ride because I'm so in love with this person. And, I want to be on that pink cloud because this is this is my twin souls, and he's the man of my life, or she's the woman of my life. And you're going to travel on that pink cloud until something happens and you fall off. Yeah. But we get identify. That's what it means, jumping on the cloud. We get identify with the cloud. Or it can be like, some people are like so attached to pain, for example, or suffering. And the ego wants to suffer. The particular ego is like growing and feeding itself in suffering. So that person will go like, oh, look at that dark black clouds. I love it. I'm going to jump on it. So you jump on the black clouds and you go for a ride and you suffer and you go through anxieties and all that your ego wants to experience, and you go for it. And again, you identify with that pain. So according to, there are many different personalities, many different egos. They all have different facets that hook into different experiences and feed out of that. And they love to get identified with those experiences. It's normal. It's human. Don't worry. Nothing wrong with that. We all do it, me included. So don't beat yourself up. But just be aware that that's the mechanism, no? You can visualize this if it helps you. It's like, oh, look, I'm jumping on this pink cloud now, or I'm jumping on this black cloud now. And I travel with it, and I'm totally into the cloud. And when you move into a cloud with an airplane, you go from, you see the clouds below and you see just blue sky, and then suddenly the plane goes down because it needs to land and goes through the clouds, and suddenly you see just white clouds or whatever colors they are. That's all you can see, right? You don't see the blue sky anymore. So when you identify, when you jump on the clouds, it's like that. You enter the clouds and all you see is that cloud. Blue sky, I can't see any blue sky. Where is it? It's gone. So consciousness lost track. It got so identified with the clouds that all it can see is the cloud. It lost track of that, with that emptiness, with that blue sky, which is the source, which is connected. That blue sky is our bridge to existence. So to allow ourselves in our practice to rest into that blue sky when it happens. You cannot force it, but you can gently guide the clouds to, watch the clouds and be aware that they're clouds, and say, okay, I see you. And let them move along and let them go again. Let them move. You can't do anything else. Because if you try to push them away, it's like, go away, that's your ego trying to do something again, right? You're trapped in the egoic self again. Let them go. That's the only thing you can go. Or even more precisely, don't hold on to them. And how do we hold on to them? By identify with that particular cloud, whatever it is. It might be bliss, or it might be despair. It doesn't matter if it's pink or black. Still, it's a cloud. It's an experience. It's not you. You are the container in which these clouds are passing by. Now, when we will approach the moment of physical death, this is very important because there will be many experiences. That's what they say. I don't remember exactly. But there are many experiences that happen in the process of moving out of the physical body. And it's important that you don't get identified with those experiences. That's how the spirit, your essence, your consciousness can release itself from physical form in a blissful way and not in agony and not in pain. Because if somebody is very identified, for example, with the experience of the physical body, it's going to be very painful. If you cannot let go of that identification in that moment, it's going to be very painful to detach from a physical body, to detach yourself from something that you're completely identified with. It's like a surgery. It's like trying to tear yourself away from something that you believe you are that, for example. So to learn to not identify with any experience, any concept, any belief, see it for what it is, a cloud. Let them pass. Let them pass. Don't hold on to them. And if you do jump on the cloud, that's okay. Again, we all do it. But become aware of that, because that awareness, slowly, will allow you to stay less and less time on that cloud. Because you'll go on the cloud automatically, say, oh yeah, I wanna be on that black cloud because I wanna feel this pain. Okay. But soon enough, you go like, wait a second, I just jump on the cloud again. In that moment, we're like, whoosh, you're out of the cloud, right? You can start seeing the blue sky again. So this awareness of what is happening, that's the only real weapon of transformation we have, tool of transformation. So keep observing all that your egoic self wants to get identified with, because those are all the hooks that keep you trapped. And go back to the blue sky, go back to emptiness. Allow yourself to, don't think, oh, here is emptiness. Don't even think that. Just be that when it happens. Even if it's for like 5 seconds, it doesn't matter. Enjoy those 5 seconds. Yeah. Maybe tomorrow there will be 10 seconds. Maybe the week after it will be 15 seconds. Maybe a year later it will be a minute. And then one day you go like, there will be more emptiness. You'll be more living in that presence than in anything else, than any identification with anything else. Now that is freedom. That's a path to freedom. That's what freedom is. It's disidentification from all forms, all experiences. The juicy thing about this, the big reward is that when we rest in that, we start feeling the really juicy energy of the force, which is joyful, blissful, which is love, peace, all the good stuff. We reconnect with the source, when we allow ourselves to rest in emptiness. Like 2 weeks ago, we were saying, well, if the cup is empty, life can pour itself into it. But if it's already full, it cannot. So rest in that. Allow yourself to rest in that. And when you notice that you're not resting in that because you jump on one of the clouds, fine. Don't beat yourself up for that, as you know, because it's the ego that is trying to beat yourself up. Being an impartial, compassionate, actually, witness. And say, okay, oh, look, I jumped on that cloud. Okay, maybe I can jump out now. I've seen it. I know where it takes me. I know because I jumped on these clouds a million times. You know, it's always the same. It repeats and repeats. We're locked into loops. If you really observe, day by day, your experience is not that different. You follow certain patterns and they just repeat themselves, no? Again and again. So notice that and jump out of the cloud every time you can. And then rest in that space in the sky. As long as another cloud comes and you jump on it again, that's okay. Again, don't beat yourself up. Just notice it and let it go. Simple and compassionate should be the approach. It's not a serious matter. Right? I mean, all this can happen with a joyful attitude too. Yeah, we don't need to suffer through meditation. Be careful because the ego wants to make it something serious and I have to do this and I have to be a good meditator. Oh no, you jump on a cloud again, pull out the whip. A bad meditator, bad. So be careful. That's what the ego wants to do always. Oh, you could do a bit better. You could do better than this. Come on. No, that's not the attitude. Don't get serious about meditation because we're already serious about everything else. It's the egoic self that takes it so seriously. Law of seriousness. That's why all the saints are like suffering and they're serious. They're fucked up. Excuse me the expression, but all the saints are fucked up. Yeah. Somebody made them into saints, but poor guys, they're fucked up. They have no clue that the force is not suffering. And it's not darkness. It's light, it's love. It's joyful. So if you see any teacher or any master that looks very serious, run in the other direction because something is not right there. If they're too serious, Now there were exceptions, like apparently Bodhidharma, which was the patriarch of Zen. He was this guy with like two huge eyes and a beard, and they said just looking at him, you would just get scared shit. It's like, oh, it would be so scary looking. Yeah. And you look at this guy and it was like, you cannot lie at this guy. You cannot fool around. He was just like looking through you like a laser beam. No escape. But I'm sure that in his private, he was just laughing and laughing away. It's like, look at all these fools. But as my master used to say, the sense of humor is one of the most spiritual qualities. Yeah, truly, don't forget that. And have a good laugh at everything, even at yourself. When you can laugh at yourself, man, you're one of the most spiritual person in existence. The day you can laugh at everything you see, including yourself and your ego, you've done it, baby. Yeah. So don't take yourself seriously. Okay. Let's sit together. Yeah. Let's absorb all this. And let's allow ourselves to be not serious in our sitting, at least today. And sit with a joyful attitude. It's like, okay, let me sit with myself. How beautiful. I'm going to sit with myself for half an hour. And I'm going to be with everything that is experienced without taking it too seriously. And when there are no clouds in the sky, I'm going to enjoy that empty sky. I'm going to allow myself to be nothing and nobody for a few moments and rest in that. Every time it happens, that all experiences are gone for a few moments, I'm going to rest in that peaceful, empty space. And we start grounding ourselves first in the body, because we know that the body is always in the present moment. So we start by relaxing the body and feeling it. And feeling the body, we just come here in this place, in this moment. Allow yourself to feel your body. First anchor. Release any tension you might still hold. Becoming aware of the weight of the body. Where the body touches the cushion, maybe your butt cheeks, whatever it is, maybe your legs on the floor. Those places where you perceive the weight. Feel that weight. Feel the pull of the earth. Let it happen. Now. Feel a connection with earth through that gravity force. Root yourself into this beautiful, beautiful planet. Send your roots into the earth like a big tree. Become rooted and still like a tree. And start perceiving the other ends, the top energy, the sky energy. more easy to perceive it on the top of the head, where we connect with the sky. Like the tallest branches of that tree. Maybe there are flowers blooming on those top branches. The trees, somebody said tree is the earth that wants to reach the sky. The tree is an extension of the earth that is longing for the sky. That's why it grows upwards and upwards. So maybe you can feel that connection with the sky that the tree has, that longing to not only grow downwards with its roots, but also upward towards the whole universe. Towards an infinite sky. An infinite space. In this way, we are perfectly in balance between the two forces, and we connect them through our body. We bridge. We are the bridge between sky and earth now. Or at least our body is. And within this body, within this bridge, in the middle, we can perceive the spaciousness, the space in which everything is perceived. So I start perceiving the movement of my breath. I notice that. Floating in this spaciousness. Notice the air coming in and going out. How the diaphragm lowers itself and the belly swells up a little bit as you breathe in. Let your belly and diaphragm relax through that movement. And if you want, you can just keep your attention on the breathing. Or you might choose to bring the attention to the space in which that breathing is happening. That's okay too. Or you might be aware of both of them at the same time. It doesn't matter. All is happening, all is perceived within that empty sky, that space, that consciousness. Rest in that. rest in the fact that nothing is happening, even if for a few moments. Enjoy that. Be nobody for a few moments. Be nothing for a few moments. Be no thing, nothing, no object. Don't identify with any object. That's what nothing means. You're just the subject, which is spacious consciousness, witnessing spacious consciousness. Just enjoy that. Anytime you notice you're jumping on a cloud, just notice that. And through noticing, you'll see that you're jumping out. Or maybe the cloud is simply dissolving. And you come back to empty sky. The sound is there to remind you to come back to that empty sky. Coming back to the group. You know why I smile so much when I look at the screen? Because I look at your faces. And there's something so sweet about you being here. Just wanting to be here, you know, it's really beautiful. That we all want to be here. So we open the space for any sharing that might still want to happen. I enjoyed the silence today very much. That's my sharing. I don't know if you noticed, but this group is moving into deeper and deeper silences. Slowly, slowly. And that's a beautiful thing to feel. I'm done with my sharing. That's a beautiful thing, huh? Also not to have anything to say. That's totally fine. It's just sometimes when the silence goes deep, it's like, why bother saying anything? Just a good laugh, or a good smile. That's all one can say. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Shastra.
Yes. Thank you for being here, all of you.
Yeah, and for everybody.
Yeah. Beautiful Sangha. Beautiful souls. I'm looking forward to see you again next Friday.
Shastra,
Yes.
we'll be here next Friday. We'll be at La Selva.
Thank you, Mickey. What would I do without somebody that reminds me to remember?
Oh, you are not there.
We're in a retreat. We start a
Oh,
retreat on Thursday until Sunday. So then I'll see you Friday, the other one.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. I'm in Mandali. Wait. Ooh. Ooh. Wait. Let me open my calendar. because we might have to jump 2 weeks. So next Friday, yeah. So I will see you. I will see you Friday the 16th. 16th of July is our next meeting. Yeah, take a break from this guy and everybody and everything. Just come back with a light heart. See you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Kisses and hugs.
Bye.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Ciao.
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 Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.